All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 2, I think 14 now. Numbers are hard for folks. So, today, as of 23 minutes ago, Critical Role has announced Campaign 4. And we got to talk about it. So, quick spoiler alert if you want to watch the actual announcement before hearing me talk about all of it. There's a link to the announcement in the description. Go ahead and watch that first. It's about like 11, 12 minutes. I will say the actual announcement doesn't happen until like six and a half minutes in. However, I strongly encourage you to watch the first 6 minutes. It is hilarious. So, that being said, it's spoiler time. Critical Role has announced the date of Campaign 4 and quite a few other things that they will reveal later. But as far as the official announcement, Critical Role Campaign 4 is going to start October the 2nd, which is a few months from now. But I'm going to go on the assumption that that's the first Thursday in October. So it starts in October, which is cool. And specifically in the announcement, it mentions a new world. They don't go into any details about this. They just say new world. So I think we can safely assume this is not going to involve Exandria. They also mention that they have a new game master. Matt Mercer is not going to be GMing this one. He's going to be a player. Matt, during the direct, during the announcement, Matt did mention that there's going to be new people involved. And then they brought out the new GM for Campaign 4, which is Brennan Lee Mulligan. Not particularly surprising. Like, is it surprising to me that Matt's not running Campaign 4? Yes, I was not expecting that. However, as soon as it was announced, oh, it's not going to be Matt, there is a very, very short list of people that I would expect Matt, and to be perfectly honest, all of Critical Role, the company, to entrust their Campaign 4 to. And Brennan Lee Mulligan is on the top of that list. The only other people that I think might have also been in the running, if there was like a short list, Perkins theoretically probably could have done it if he wanted to. To be blunt, I think he just doesn't want to run big stuff like that because it's a lot of work, and he already has a full-time job to do. Crawford maybe, but I wouldn't trust Crawford with Campaign 4, and I don't think he has the relationship with Critical Role that they would have done it. Anyone saying Abria, not in a million years. Again, I've mentioned this before. I don't think Abria is like a bad person or a bad GM or anything like that. I think she's very, very inexperienced, and that inexperience has caused her to make a lot of mistakes repeatedly, both as a player and as a GM. And I think she is not quite mature enough to understand how to learn from those mistakes. So I think giving something like Campaign 4 to Abria would have been a massive, massive problem. And then, yeah, to be perfectly honest, I think those are the only people. Because the only other person that I know that I think Critical Role would have some enough respect for and enough experience with it, they might trust an entire Critical Role campaign. Which again, most of these Critical Role campaigns go on for 2 or 3 years. So the other person I could see them entrusting that to might have been Mark/Mara Humes, and they're English. They're located in the UK, and they play in person, so that just wouldn't be a thing. So, not really surprised that Brennan's going to be running it now. Matt Mercer specifically mentioned new people, not just new person. So, my theory that I think is going to be justified pretty quickly here, or confirmed pretty quickly here, is the Critical Role cast is not coming back in its entirety. Some people are going to not be a part of Campaign 4. Doesn't mean that they're not going to be a part of Critical Role anymore, but they're going to replace a few of the people with other people. I would be very, very surprised if Robbie was not made a permanent cast member. I don't think it's impossible that they wouldn't add him as a permanent, but I'd be very surprised if they didn't, because not only does he have the experience, again, I think a lot of people don't understand about Critical Role as it is now is this is a business, and the core cast of Critical Role, they all know each other and they all trust each other to be able to not just show up for their job, sometimes while battling cancer. They don't just show up. They know that these people have the professionalism and the actual acting chops to be able to show up and give really amazing performances. And while, bringing in guests that have no experience with tabletop RPGs and have limited experience with how any of this stuff works is perfectly fine for guests, they really can't afford to bring in people that don't know what they're doing at this point. Again, when Critical Role first started, nobody knew what they were doing, but at this point, it's so much bigger than that. So the fact that Robbie has already proven himself multiple times over is with the ability to kind of step up and into the spotlight, I would be incredibly shocked if he wasn't permanent. Other names that I could see coming in, I think Abria has a good chance of possibly being asked to be part of the main cast. Again, I have my issues with Abria. And were I running Critical Role, I wouldn't have her as a main cast member. I would have her as a guest because, again, she still doesn't have the experience or maturity to be able to carry something like this. But she is beloved by the fans, and she's beloved by the cast. So I could see that being another one. As far as anyone else that they're going to bring in, your guess is as good as mine. They have a lot of connections just with... just with the acting scene in Hollywood anyways. So it's not like they're really going to be hurting to find regular cast members. They really will be able to kind of pick and choose the ones that they feel are going to fit best into this role. It's also possible that we might not have a 7-person cast this time as well, because anyone that's run any kind of TTRPG knows that a 7-person party is rough to run. And I'm not saying that Brennan couldn't handle it. He's exceptionally skilled. However, if they're already going to be making changes, it might make sense to limit Campaign 3 down to maybe 5 or 6, so that when they have guests, they're not running an 8-person table, because that just gets unwieldy really quickly. So I could definitely see them shrinking the cast down. As far as predictions for people that I don't think will return for the next campaign, I think anyone that has an actual position at Critical Role is going to be there. So obviously Mercer's going to be there, Travis is going to be there, Laura's going to be there, Marisha is going to be there, and I would have a hard time seeing Sam leaving. And if Sam's going to be there, I think Liam's going to be there as well. I think the two regular cast members that have the most likely chance of not returning for campaign 4 are Ashley and Taliesin. Taliesin, just because I don't want to sound mean, but he looks tired, for lack of a better term. I'm not saying that things like that, but he, I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, and he's been through some crazy shit. And then Ashley, my reason for predicting Ashley not coming back, she had a pretty decent acting career before Critical Role started. Like she was in the Avengers. I think most, if not all, of her scenes were cut. But she also was on a hit TV series for like 4 or 5 seasons, and like she was, and she's been acting since she was a little kid, and since Critical Role, I just haven't seen her being able getting as many parts, at least not that I'm aware of. Obviously, I may be wrong. I don't watch a lot of modern TV, so she might be doing that. But I think it's very possible that she might be going, you know what, I'm an actor and I want to act. She doesn't do the voiceover stuff that a lot of the rest of the cast does. So unlike the rest of the cast, which is mostly voiceover, and I'm not saying that Ashley's never done voiceover work. She has. She's done a decent amount of it. But she's not Matt Mercer or Laura Bailey or even Travis Willingham, who shows up everywhere. And Taliesin, dear Lord, if I find Taliesin in like the most random places. Like I'm replaying, or I'm not replaying. I got back into Elder Scrolls Online. Taliesin plays the head of the Mages Guild in that, and you just hear him constantly in the kind of main story quest for vanilla ESO. He's just everywhere. Towards the end of it, he's just everywhere, and his line delivery is really, really bad, and I don't understand why, because he's incredibly skilled. So yeah, like Ashley just isn't that. So that's my predictions about who might be leaving. Yeah, and I guess it is theoretically possible that we might lose. I think Liam might be the other person that has the least kind of ties to Critical Role specifically, because I don't know if he actually holds like an official position. But as far as like things that keep happening, he's not really involved all that much. Like he doesn't do the ad reads like Sis's Sam does. He doesn't do merch stuff. He's not, one of the big 3 or anything like that. So, yeah, theoretically, I think Liam might go. I'd hate to, because I love Liam. But I think it's theoretically possible he might not be there. The rest of them, I would have a really hard time believing that. I mean, maybe. So here's the other thing. Running a company is a pain in the ass. It is really, really difficult. So theoretically, I might see Travis stepping down from this, since Critical Role is getting a lot bigger. And I will guarantee that being the CEO of Critical Role and being a main cast member and still being a professional voice actor is probably wearing him thin. So if one of the big ones that are like big parts of the company were to leave, I think Travis might be the most likely, simply because, again, he's running a company. So anyway, that was part of the big announcement. The other thing, everyone except for Travis refused to refer to Brennan as the DM. For anyone that doesn't know, the term Dungeon Master is actually, I don't know if it's trademarked, or at least if it's trademarked anymore, but at one point, Dungeon Master was a title that was exclusively reserved for the person that was running a Dungeons and Dragons game. That's why every other system has some other name. The most common one is Game Master, but if you look at World of Darkness, it's the Storyteller. Things like that. Like every single every single tabletop RPG does everything except call their game master the dungeon master, because dungeon master is exclusively, I believe it's considered intellectual property of Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons and Dragons. So Travis, I sincerely doubt, understands that dungeon master is a term that exclusively refers to Dungeons and Dragons. So I could definitely see him just not understanding, because he, again, his experience has been almost exclusively Dungeons and Dragons. Aside from a quick jaunt with Daggerheart, and I can't remember if he did anything with Candela Obscura, he's almost never played anything else. And playing the same game and calling the head of the person running the game the Dungeon Master for that long, probably just, to him, Dungeon Master is synonymous with every thing. However, everybody else on stage, Marisha, Matt, and I can't remember if anyone else referred to him, all referred to him as the Game Master, not the Dungeon Master. And I think, because again, new world, they didn't say in the announcement new system or anything like that. They just said new world. I'm going to see if I can actually find, I have the damn thing open right now. I'm just going to go through it real quick, like scene by scene. New world. All right, I'll mute it, so I have to do this. All right. New story. New world. New Game Master. And they say Game Master here, not Dungeon Master. And then 10/02/25. So, theoretically, they might be using the term Game Master simply because, again, Dungeon Master is owned by D&D. And this is an official announcement, so they might just be using Game Master because they don't physically own the term Dungeon Master. Or they might be doing a new system. Brennan has a lot of experience running D&D. Like, most of Dimension 20's games are Dungeons and Dragons or variations thereof. But there's a lot. Like, let me put it this way: the majority of the Dimension 20 games are D&D. But majority just means more than half. There are a lot of non-D&D systems that Brennan has run through Dimension 20. Now, Dimension 20 runs significantly shorter games. They generally only last. I believe all of their series last less than a year. I'm not 100% on that, but none of them have gone 2 or 3 years like Critical Role seasons to do, and they don't make anywhere near as many episodes as Critical Role does. Yeah. So I think the fact that they keep using Dungeon Master, I think, is them hinting that they're not going to use Dungeons and Dragons. Now, anyone that hears me say that, everyone is immediately going to go, "Oh my God, they're using Daggerheart for Campaign 4." I don't think so. For 2 reasons. One, if they were using Daggerheart, I think they would have announced it there. Fun fact, they've already sold out of all their physical copies of Daggerheart. They sold out earlier today at Gen Con. They brought a bunch of Daggerheart physical copies to Gen Con. They're all gone. Who would have thought? So, I'm going to guarantee they're going to have to do another print run of Daggerheart. So they don't need the additional press, but everyone that's not at Gen Con, if they were going to use Daggerheart, I think they would have announced that. I could be wrong. It's theoretically possible that they're just trying to drip feed the information to kind of keep the hype up. But I think if they were going to use Daggerheart, they would have said so. So what other systems could they use? Theoretically, maybe, because Paizo is going ham on advertising for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Starfinder 2nd Edition, things like that. I could see Pathfinder approaching them and going, hey, we would like to sponsor campaign 4 if you would use Pathfinder 2nd edition for it. I've mentioned this before when people are going, oh my god, Daggerheart, no, Daggerheart's gonna be, they're gonna leave Dungeons and Dragons behind forever because Daggerheart's amazing, Daggerheart's. And I told people before, if they switch campaign 4 to Daggerheart, I think it's going to be a nail in the coffin for Critical Role. Because while yes, Critical Role is part of the reason that 5th edition is as popular as it is, also 5th edition is part of the reason that Critical Role is as popular as it is. It's very easy to understand compared to a lot of other TTRPGs. It has a lot of brand recognition in general. It's the most popular tabletop RPG in the world. I think if they make their official campaign for a Daggerheart campaign as opposed to a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, I think they will lose a massive share of their audience and will kind of have to scramble to keep Critical Role doing the things that it's supposed to do because D&D pays a lot of the bills. I don't think Daggerheart would be a smart thing for them to do because Daggerheart technically doesn't make them any money. Whereas, again, a lot of people don't know this. D&D Beyond was a sponsor for, I believe, all of Campaign 2. So D&D Beyond was paying Critical Role every single time they put an episode up. So D&D was literally paying Critical Role to play D&D. I do not know if Campaign 3 had anything like that in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, I would not put it past Paizo to try and do something like that for Campaign 4. Now, Paizo does not have the money that Wizards of the Coast does. So any sponsorship from Paizo would be significantly less than what they were making from, what they possibly could make from Dungeons and Dragons. But again, they're doing a lot of stuff that seems like they're trying to gain market share. They are selling things on D&D Beyond. Made a whole video about that, or a portion of a video about that. They're making a new video game based on the thing that they're selling on D&D Beyond. So yeah, I could see them trying to push Pathfinder in there. Now, again, I think it's possible that Pathfinder might want to do that. And again, I think that if they run Pathfinder, it will screw over Critical Role. Pathfinder is significantly more difficult to follow for someone that doesn't understand Pathfinder. And it's a very, very, very complex game. I think it would kill Critical Role really, really bad. So if they're not playing D&D and they aren't playing Pathfinder, well, what system would they use? It's a really fantastic question. Thinking of like systems that I am familiar with, obviously I think the thing that is most likely what they will use is GURPS. Because everybody knows GURPS is the perfect system. And if you're still listening to me at this point, I've got a bridge to sell you in... as far as a system that I think might work well for something like a Critical Role campaign, theoretically Draw Steel might be something, though I have a hard time believing that MCDM would work with Critical Role right now while they're currently trying to get Draw Steel out. But I think it has the guts that you would need for something like that. I'm trying to think of other ones. I'll bring it out to you guys. What do you guys think? If they don't use D&D, what do you guys think the system will be? And feel free to argue your point for the idea that, yes, they're 100% going to use Daggerheart. I'd love to hear what you guys think as far as that's concerned. I'm trying to think of another really big TTRPG, that they could run a pretty interesting. I mean, there's always things like Savage Worlds is relatively well known and is a robust enough system they could do things. The Without Numbers systems, things like Stars Without Numbers, Cities Without Numbers, and Worlds Without Numbers. More like enough, they're going to stick with a fantasy thing that'd be Worlds Without Numbers. I could see that. I still think the Without Numbers system is a little bit crunchy for running a long-term campaign. I could see it working. Trying to think of any other ones that they might want to use. I'd love to see them run a Cypher system campaign, or Cypher now, but I just don't see that being a thing. To be blunt, I would love to see them run a non-fantasy TTRPG. Maybe something like the Age system, because the Fantasy Age 2nd Edition came out, and Green Ronin has been doing some interesting stuff there. Or running... I have a hard time believing that they would run any of the Powered by the Apocalypse systems, because, again, the Powered by the Apocalypse systems are significantly kind of shorter built systems. They're not really designed for the big, massive, long, in-depth campaigns that Critical Role really does for their main campaigns. They're designed for much shorter stuff. Like, I think the stuff that Dimension 20 does, I think, fits really well with the various Powered by the Apocalypse systems. But for Campaign 4, I just don't think there's enough to it. It'd be the same thing of like them trying to run Candela Obscura for their Campaign 4. It's never going to happen. Candela Obscura can't last that long. Trying to think of other systems that might be there. I don't know. It's interesting. Anyway, so yeah, again, I might be reading into something that's not there. They may be sticking with D&D, which again, in my personal opinion, I think is still the best way to go about this. I know a lot of people will vehemently argue with me, especially people that don't like Wizards of the Coast in general. They will vehemently argue with me and say that no, Wizards of the Coast actually hurt Critical Role because of all the bad things that they've done, and the only reason it's still up is because Critical Role. It's in no way, shape, or form true, but if that's what you want to believe, go for it. But yeah, I just the fact that it is so well known, it is so easy to understand, even with the more convoluted version that 5.5 is, it's still significantly easier to follow. It's still significantly more well-known than literally anything else on the market. And with the popularity of things like Baldur's Gate 3, like Dungeons & Dragons is having a second renaissance right now. And I think it would be foolhardy for them to do their main campaign away from it. Now, I would love to see them play other games. And I guess theoretically, and this is a thing that some people may not be aware of, the other thing that might happen is Brennan may invent his own shit. Because that's what Brennan does. Literally most of the non-D&D stuff that they run, I think a little bit of the D&D stuff that they run, is stuff that Brennan is either helped homebrew or has just completely homebrewed himself. He, from a game design perspective, or a game designer perspective, Brennan really, really understands how to create things that will let him tell the stories that he wants to. I think a lot of the stuff that he designs wouldn't work for other people, but he understands himself and his players well enough that he can design stuff that's not going to be completely broken because of how his players use it. Yeah, I mean that's another theoretical possibility is that Brennan will just homebrew his own the thing. It's obvious that they've been working on this for a little while because they had this whole, trailer for it, and everybody had turtlenecks, and I mean those are hard, especially Perkins and Crawford's double turtleneck. I mean that's not something that you're going to be able to just, walk into a Walmart and pick up. Like, that's a special order big and tall. So I really loved it when that happened in the announcement, by the way. That was my favorite part. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's theoretically person. I think that the real thing that they're going to do is they're going to use D&D 4th edition, because it's by far the best version of Dungeons and Dragons, and y'all can fight me over that. But yeah, so again, originally my plan was to make these are all the other announcements stuff. And I had to make a video to talking about this announcement, because it's a big deal for tabletop RPGs just in general. They are the largest actual play TTRPG in the world. They're one of the most profitable channels on Twitch. We have to talk about it. And again, a lot of the stuff that they mentioned there is interesting. So I leave it to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm wrong and that they're going to bring the entire cast back? Do you think I'm right, but I'm wrong about the cast members that are going to come back, and maybe only one or two of the regular Critical Role cast is going to be back, and the rest are going to be completely new faces? What do you guys think about the system that they're going to use? Do you think they're going to stick to D&D? Do you think they're going to use a different system? And what system do you think? And most importantly, why do you think they would use that system? And don't just give me, well, it's the best system, because that I'm just going to ignore. Really think about, well, why would they want to use this system? Is the company currently doing a marketing push? Is it something that provides something that isn't available with other systems and things like that? Is there a connection between someone that's helping to make the system or market the system and somebody at Critical Role? Really delve deep and see if you guys can come up with, or even if is it just, every time that somebody asks them, what's your favorite non-D&D system, they always say this. Like, that's a valid one. So yeah, let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.